How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Red Dead Redemption 2 feature overview. In today's video, we'll take a deep dive into the wanted system as well as other brand new information we've gotten from the most recent gameplay video number 2 that was posted yesterday on Rockstar Games channel. Now, before getting on with this video, I want to mention that while there are indeed some similarities with the previous Red Dead Redemption's wanted level, this time around there's a lot more depth to it. There's a lot of attention to detail, many variables when it comes to being wanted for the crimes you commit, and the persistent world in Red Dead Redemption 2 will affect that as a whole. I'm going to start off with the basics so you have a general understanding on how this system works. In short, if you commit a crime in this game and there are witnesses around, you'll get a wanted level and a bounty on your head. The more crimes you commit that get reported, the more your wanted level and the subsequent bounty will also increase. Avoiding the law enforcement for long enough and generally not getting detected by lawmen will eventually make you lose all of that, but the bounty will still remain. Since you'll be considered a wanted criminal, this in turn will also make bounty hunters eventually track you down until they kill you, unless of course you either pay it yourself or drop it off by other means. You can avoid getting caught by not leaving any witnesses behind or by bribing them. Additionally, paying up the bounty yourself or having a pardon letter or serving jail time are also choices that you could make, and this was also done in the previous Red Dead Redemption, but it was pretty straightforward. Not too many variables involved. In Red Dead Redemption 2, on the other hand, while the basics still exist, there are a lot of improvements to make this interaction even more realistic and believable. On one hand, upon committing a crime, your overall looks will play a big role on how easily you can be identifiable. In one of the articles from a couple of weeks back, it was mentioned that committing a crime with your face covered and later removing the face cover would reduce your wanted level slightly. The choice of clothing will also be a factor in this, and changing clothes would also have a similar effect. While it wasn't specifically addressed, and judging by these variables alone, there's also the possibility that your facial appearance would also be factored into the overall wanted level. So if you wear a thick beard and long hair and then shave all of them off, I would expect that to affect the wanted level, at least in part. On the other hand, being detected by lawmen is not as instantaneous as it once was, or at the very least, for example, GTA 5. In there, committing a crime would instantly put you on a wanted level upon committing it, even if nobody else would be around. In Red Dead Redemption 2, it was reported that lawmen will actually start investigating first before finding out the culprit. One such example was given, and if you commit a crime and hide in a group of people, the law enforcement agents won't immediately assume it was you, but instead start investigating. Of course, should you choose to pull your gun out during that, then you will definitely immediately get spotted. This can even be seen in the most recent gameplay video after Arthur committed what appears to be a murder, and while he's hiding behind a cabin, you can see his wanted level flashing on the top right corner of the screen with a sign underneath it that reads unknown suspect, most probably because there were no witnesses left behind or there was nobody to witness the crime. Soon after, you can see the lawman appearing and starting to investigate the crime scene before moving on, pretty much exactly how it would happen in real life. You can even see the wanted sign having investigating written beneath it, which pretty much means that now there are several sequences before they are engaging in fighting criminals down. Of course, as long as you don't commit the crime in front of them, because then it would be a totally different situation and they would definitely be able to immediately intervene. But when there's nobody around, there are a lot of sequences that need to be made before they start acting up. The mechanic here goes in so much detail that you can even get interrogated if you happen to be close enough to the location where the crime was committed. In the first gameplay video, you can even see Arthur, probably after knocking out a person, being interrogated by the local deputy who was close enough to see what happened and most probably witnessed the crime itself. Take a note on how the deputy doesn't automatically attack Arthur, which was typical in any of the previous video games, but instead he starts interrogating him, which in itself is a deep interaction with multiple possible outcomes. It does not immediately give you a 1-star wanted level like in the previous games, and from here on the game gives you several options thanks to the new interaction system. You can diffuse the situation yourself, which might work or might not work depending on the situation, the severity of the crime, how many witnesses there are, and so on. You can antagonize the person who interrogates you and even draw your weapon out, which would in turn lead to the immediate consequence of getting a wanted level, possibly even getting shot. Nonetheless, you can see how these interactions are so much more in detail compared to any of the previous video games released by Rockstar Games thus far, and how important they are to the overall flow of the gameplay. And choices are said to exist everywhere. Your past actions are factored in everything that is done, or at the very least the very vast majority of what's happening in the game, and this brings so much realism and immersion to the game. I am so excited to see this in full effect. I'm pretty sure that nowhere near the entirety of the system was being shown in the previous trailers and the gameplay videos, and I am curious to see how people will test all of this out. If you commit a crime and there's a witness left, all choices are contextual, and depending on the situation itself you will have different outcomes. For smaller crimes you can intimidate witnesses by threatening them or straight out beating them. You can also dismiss them and assume they won't report you in, which is something that might or might not happen, as each NPC has its own unique personality, and you can enter this mode of interaction by having your weapon drawn and then just interacting with the NPC itself. Also do note that when firing warning shots, random NPCs will stop running, they would start raising their hands up and stay perfectly still and not just run away like scared mice from the smallest side of danger. So this is some of that advanced AI that I'm glad exists in the game. If you do manage to get a wanted level and the bounty on your head, then you'll have to deal with an increasingly more powerful and numerous amount of law enforcement agents. In the hands-on preview by Polygon from 2 weeks ago, I believe, this interaction was tested out, and eventually the lawmen completely outnumbered and managed to kill both Arthur and his horse. And it was just petty crime being done here and there, but it would pile up eventually and increase the wanted level even more, and eventually you won't be able to take out a full town of police officers, for example. We even had something similar in the first gameplay video when Arthur can be seen with a wanted level that reads dead or alive, hinting towards the severity of the crime or the crimes he just committed. Similarly, having a bounty on your head will make bounty hunters eventually track you down and try to kill you, possibly even capture you this time around. If you check out an early scene in the second gameplay video from yesterday, you can see a carriage pulling out from nearby woods and basically ambushing Arthur with something that I haven't seen being done ever before. And this all happens organically, and eventually he appears to even get knocked down, but I am pretty sure this is just from another rival gang member, or just another mission or something along the lines, as there was no bounty on the screen nor a red marker on the minimap. But if this type of interaction exists in the open world, then it also might mean that it could extend to other types of situations, and for example in the case of bounty hunters. You'll also find that bounty hunters as well as lawmen will chase you for as long as they can while still continuously shooting you depending on the severity of your crime. And it's not an automatic shot to the face this time around how it was in GTA 5, where literally every policeman can aim you in the head from miles away. This time around they will shoot as much as they can, like the physics are factored in. They can even shoot your head down and you'll lose it basically unless you go back and take it again. During a train robbery in the early gameplay, for example, IGN noted how bounty hunters kept chasing the train Arthur just hijacked until they couldn't keep up with it anymore. But you don't have to run away, you can always fight back and kill them all, or even set up an ambush if you know their path, but do keep in mind that this will increase your wanted level even more. Paying the bounty for yourself also made a comeback in this game, just like like in the previous Red Dead Redemption, and you can pay it at the local post office. I'm also going to assume finding pardon letters to have the bounty drop off will also return, because this existed in the previous Red Dead Redemption as well. And since we're still talking about bounty hunters, you can also become one yourself and hunt down various criminals on the map. This is done by going to the local sheriff's office and grabbing up whatever bounties there are available. There are a couple of scenes in the second gameplay trailer showing the interaction between Arthur and the local sheriff, and later on in the video you can even see him picking up a bounty for a person named Benedict Albright. If you zoom in, you can see the reward amount, which is in this case $50, with the condition he'll be brought in alive. So there will be certain conditions that need to be met for the bounty to be delivered in full. From the looks of it, it doesn't seem that this particular bounty was too difficult, as the reward was pretty low and the outlaw himself was made to be brought in alive. A cool addition we have is that depending on how honorable you are, you will be able to earn more money from doing these types of gigs. So the more law-abiding and honorable you are in general, the more rewarding bounty hunting will become to you, and in contrast with being dishonorable, which in turn makes robberies, bank heists, burglaries and so on being more worthy towards you. But this pretty much covers what we know so far about the wanted system and the bounty hunting in Red Dead Redemption 2. So far everything looks very promising, and I cannot wait to play this game on the 26th. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, then a like and a subscribe would be super appreciated. Also activate that notification button for more awesome Red Dead Redemption 2 content, and I will see you guys in the next one. So peace out.